Well, let's talk a little recruiting on this Tuesday. Let's start at the quarterback position. Well documented. Currently, Notre Dame does not have a quarterback in the class of 2023. That could change very soon as we bring into the conversation Austin Novosad, a Baylor commit, who I guess, Mike, is it the right way to say he reopened his recruitment but is still committed to Baylor because there's some pretty good schools after this young man right now?
Yeah, whether or not you want to call him a commit to Baylor, it's semantics. Like I don't even know you can call Baylor the leader. Like people have differing opinions on that. So, he's committed to Baylor on paper, but it's very much a four-team race between the Bears, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Texas A&M. If he weren't going to consider Baylor anymore, you decommit. But he's still very much considering Baylor. So it's like, why would you decommit just to recommit like 2 weeks later or something? So there's no point. So, Darren, as we record this, he's at Notre Dame's campus right now for that big barbecue cookout, which is mainly for the 2024 class. But there's a couple 2023 players, including him. So 6'3", 385 pounds, riser in the rankings recently. He's the number 140 player nationally and number 10 quarterback in America. So, Notre Dame getting him on campus, Darren, it's a big deal. They lost the Dante Moore sweepstakes to Oregon, and they need a quarterback, and Novosad's the guy they've zeroed in on. I think after this week, I think this is the most important week in Novosad's recruitment. I believe he's visiting Baylor, I believe it's Saturday. There's been talk about him maybe getting to A&M, where both of his parents attended college. I don't think Ohio State is a big factor, so I think it's going to come down to A&M, Baylor, Notre Dame personally. And it's just, for Notre Dame's sake, they're going to need to crush this physics. I personally think that he's going to kind of make this final decision here sooner than later, definitely before the start of a senior season. And Darren, we talk all the time about dead period versus a non-dead period. So dead period, no face-to-face contact with the recruiting coach, right? July and August is a dead period, except for the last week of July, which we're in right now, which is Novosad's on campus. So this is kind of their shot. If he's wanting to knock this decision out by the start of September, this is their shot having him on campus to, really take the lead for him. They offered him just 2 weeks ago. So it would be quite an impressive win if the Irish are able to pull it off, and just time will tell if they are able to.
Mike, did something happen with Novosad that caused him to draw more attention from some bigger schools over the last few weeks? Was there something that happened this summer that increased his visibility?
You know what, Darren? I don't know. I know he did really well at the Elite 11 out in California at the end of the month, but A&M had already been recruiting him, so
Okay.
I don't know. It's a very fair and good question, but you watch his junior tape and high level ball in Texas, and he absolutely went nuts as a junior. He committed to Baylor last December, was very content with that pledge, and then, you know what, Darren? Look, Texas A&M was in the Dante Moore sweepstakes. They were, after some big time quarterbacks as well. Jaden Rashad, who committed to Miami. Obviously, Notre Dame was after Dante Moore. So now I'm answering the question. It's kind of a domino effect. That's kind of my read on it. He's been the same quarterback this whole time, but it's just, a matter of some dominoes falling, and Novosad's the guy for a lot of these schools now.
Mike, is it fair to say that Notre Dame at this point, they're focused in on Novosad and option B and C are just kind of back burner at this particular point?
If I say yes, like B and C or back burner, that sounds bad for Notre Dame, right? It's like, why aren't you recruiting? But this is not gonna be a recruitment that drags out like a Dante Moore. Like I think Notre Dame's gonna kind of know where they stand, whether good or bad, here in the next couple of weeks. That's at least my opinion. Could he stretch it out into the fall? Yes. But they are aware and in conversation with other quarterback prospects. They're going to take a quarterback in this class unless plans have changed, from what I'm told. Novosad's their guy right now. And if he goes elsewhere, then, they have some names lined up.
Okay, so Novosad is in town for a little barbecue that's taking place at the University of Notre Dame. Can you tease us a little bit, a couple of the individuals that are at this barbecue that we should be aware of?
Yeah, so premium subscribers over at blueandgold.com. I hope you read my big visitor preview. I mean, that article took me a couple hours to put together because I think it's almost 30 players, and that's including 7 commitments. You got 3 players in the 23 class. You got Austin Novosad, obviously. Drake Bowen, Notre Dame's linebacker commit. I believe this is lucky 13 visit to Notre Dame. How about this? Jaden Greathouse committed to the Irish in mid-July, who's from the Austin area, just like Austin Novosad. He's on campus as well. So really there just to recruit Novosad. Greathouse and Novosad have been friends since middle school. But you got a 2026 recruit even on campus, a rising freshman with an offer from Boston College. But it's really for the 2024 class. CJ Carr, Notre Dame's quarterback commit in that cycle. He's on campus. And again, this is as we are recording this. They're all at Notre Dame, late Tuesday afternoon. You got 4 of the 5 2024 commits. You got a handful of top targets, several defensive linemen. I would say the headliner of the 2024 targets is Ryan Wingo, number 11 overall player, number 4 wide receiver in the 2024 class. He's from St. Louis University High School in Missouri. And, he was planning to visit, and then he told me over the weekend he wasn't going to, and then he told me yesterday that he was indeed going to visit Notre Dame. So second visit to South Bend this summer, 5-star caliber wide receiver, big-time talent. Notre Dame now having him on campus again for a second time. So it's a pretty big deal. So that's a big one. Justin Scott on 3 ranks as the number 3 player, nationally number 1 defensive lineman in the 23 class from Chicago St. Ignatius. So that's obviously a local prospect from a school that Notre Dame should do very well at. Notre Dame is doing a really good job in that recruitment since offering him in the spring. He's on campus his second time in South Bend. He also saw Notre Dame last fall. And a player who knows Notre Dame really well is Emmett Mosley, the 5th. Obviously, the son of Emmett Mosley, the 4th, and Cindy Mosley. And his parents played at Notre Dame. His father was a running back for the Irish. Gosh, I hope he was, because I think that was before my time or someone's going to kill me. And then Cindy Mosley was, a baller for the women's soccer team, won the Heisman equivalent for women's soccer. So Emmett Mosley, 4-star athlete prospect who Notre Dame likes at the receiver position. So that's just 3 names, Darren. We could spend a full show talking about these 2024 visitors on campus because, again, big time list, and everyone can check it out at blueandgold.com.
Boy, it sure can't hurt the recruiting process when your 2024 quarterback spends a lot of time on this campus. And this is a situation, Mike. I mean, he wouldn't have to be here for the barbecue, but he is here to get to know the guys, help on the recruiting process. I mean, you can't ask for anything more, I would think, from a coaching staff standpoint, to have your quarterback commit be this heavily involved in all things recruiting.
CJ Carr wanted to knock out his process this early, in large part due to he wanted to recruit. Like, he was really looking forward to helping build a class, so wanted to get in there early and, recruit not only the 2024 class, but also 2023. Like, I talked to Rico Flores, 2023 receiver who committed to Notre Dame in early June. Early July. He told me that he really clicked with this player, and then he mentions CJ Carr, the 2024 quarterback. It's not even in his class. Typically, when you have this face of the class recruiter guy, it's that cycle. If 2023 guy recruits 2023 players, CJ is like, I'm going to recruit all of them. He's probably going to recruit 2025 players next year. So yeah, CJ Carr doing a phenomenal job.